Drip Tips.
Welcome back, guys. As you know, I'm Foxy.
And I'm Reebson.
And we're Double Trouble.
Alright, so we want to talk about drip tips this time around. Different styles, the progressions that we've seen. We do have some to show. We'll be talking about some we don't have as well, visually for the video. Now, the first introduction I personally had to drip tips in general was an old 510 cartridge. Just slid directly into the Addy over the bridge. And what had happened was we took the filler out, as some of you may have done yourselves, and pried out the little cap that was in here that just had the little pinhole. Thank you for dropping shit. Took out the cap that had the little pinhole, just popped it out and dripped down the sides. See if I can get a good shot here of just that. No, you've got no background for it. Alright, so you can see one of the air passageways along the side. If I rotate it over, can't really see the other one because it's kind of clogged from being dripped into. On this side here, you can see the two little openings on the sides here and here. Those served as air passages originally, but once you pry that cap off, you were able to drip down one side and have no air resistance, so it'd flow through a little easier. Definite plus side there. However, it's cheap plastic, meant to be kind of a throwaway cartridge, no longevity.
Little throwaway.
Yeah. But it was a nice concept. Now, Foxy.
Yes.
First.
When I moved up to 510s, which was I just got a standard 510 kit, I had seen Grim Green, Nick, love your face. He was talking about Delrin drip tips that had come out at, I want to say, the first VaporCon. It was new around that time.
Vape Fest, maybe?
Vape Fest, thank you. The first Vape Fest, which was at Vegas. And these were new at the time, and everybody was getting their hands on them. Delrin drip tips, plain old simple 510 drip tip. And as you can see, the problem that I eventually ended up having with it is it's a soft plastic, and it's got teeth marks from when I would bite it. It was small enough, the battery, the 510 standard battery was small enough that I could bite it and not hold on to it, so it got my teeth marks in it. The problem I have with that is that it has to be held a certain way at a certain point, and I don't like when a tip has to be has to be turned a certain way to fit in my mouth. I want it to be round. So that was my first experience with drip tips, and I'd been a dripper even with my blue kit, because I was like, cartridges are lame, and I was buying juice by the bottle anyway because it was severely cheaper.
Yeah.
So if you're buying juice by the bottle, why fill a cartridge? Duh.
Yeah, and at that point, those basically just pop off the top, put a couple of drops onto essentially a 306.
Right on the bridge.
Just directly onto the bridge. Hope you didn't spill over the sides. Press it down. Hope it didn't go through the air hole into the automatic draw battery. It was a mess.
All of those things you hope not to do, you did anyway. There was no avoiding it. Automatic batteries, tiny little atomizers. It was hell.
Yeah. So from there, I personally progressed onto a metal drip tip that Foxy didn't want anymore. And it was just straight out of the atomizer, same width, and then it tapered in and had a little rounded lip on it.
Kind of like a little metal ring in there.
Yeah, just right on top of it. That was my favorite for a long time. I definitely liked the metal because it acted as a heat sink, and I was a high voltage vapor. 5-volt box mods were my thing back then, and so I'd notice a lot of excess heat.
You mean the 5-volt? Was it the radar mod?
Oh, yeah. The first mod I made actually was a 5-volt pass-through, which had just a little 510 connector, an LED, and a button connected to a USB cable that used to be an iPod cable. Snip, solder. But 5 volts was my sweet spot at the time, and I noticed the addies would get real hot, and it would tend to mess with the adhesives, be it epoxy or hot glue, and the atomizer would get real hot to the touch. This was before drip shields for me, so the additional metal helped keep it cooler, and I liked it.
Too hot for me, and he was like, yeah, I like it, so have at.
That, and it was a little heavy for his taste back then, because he was still on a pen style, and
just the 510 standard battery, and it made it really heavy.
Yeah.
It was not aluminum, it was, like you said, it was like a steel plated, not even steel
copper
painted.
plated. It was
copper plated.
It was like copper with a nickel plating or something.
Yeah.
But it was nice and weighty, which I liked. He didn't.
If you got stuff you like, keep it. If you got stuff you don't like, forward it.
Yeah. From there, I progressed to a stainless steel contoured one. I think I got that from RTD Vapor. Not sure if I got the name right. It's been a while. Got it from there. It was more contoured. It was stainless steel, which was a better material for me. Seemed to be cleaner and had a nice weight to it without being overly bulky. And it also had a wider dripping hole in it, which was nice. It wasn't wider by much, but it helped. How about you talk about one of those over there?
Yes. Actually, I'm going to talk about the one that I have here. This was one of the next steps that I got in Driptips. The inhaler, don't worry about backing it. The inhaler style 510 901 Driptip. It's a little shorty, but I love the designs they had. They had like over 50 different designs at the time. Those of you who have shopped from Inhaler before, you'll know the selection that they had. Unfortunately, it's a smaller selection now, but they're still great drip tips. Readjusting. But they're acrylic, and I'll talk about a downside in a second because I'm going to talk about the next one I have as well. Here is another acrylic drip tip. This is one that it was a nice gift from Alan, Shiny Paladin. He runs Smart Babes. Really pretty, and I like it. I kind of like the longer ones, but I mostly like this one because it was a gift. I love anything that's a gift. I treasure them. These ones I like because they're not longer than they need to be. I don't really put a drip tip past my lips. I put it to my lips usually, not in my lips. So that's what I like about these, that they just go to my lip. But the downside to acrylics, as you all probably know, some of you who are learning through our videos, be careful with acrylics in general. There are some mods that are made out of acrylics. There are a bunch of different things for vaping that are made out of acrylics. They break. They break real easy. So they're very gorgeous, very delicate, but they're more, if you're a klutz, keep them at home. So there's that.
Yeah.
So what was the next in progression for you?
Well, for me, after the stainless steel contoured, I went to the stainless steel brushed Ming, which I'm currently using. It's become my new favorite. There are definitely upsides and downsides to it. Aside from being beautiful, I love the way it fits. Like, it's very comfortable as a drip tip. the downsides to this. Kind of looks goofy just on an atomizer, in my own opinion. The grain also, because it is brushed, there's a noticeable grain to it that you can feel. It tends to collect particles, be it from the vapor on the inside lip right here, because it's got kind of a wedge cut before the hole's straight down. That tends to get a little bit of a buildup. Also further around the outer lip, I notice it. Definite buildup on it. Most of the time, if I notice it during the middle of the day and I'm at work or whatever, I'll just scrape it off with my fingernail and it works, fine. Usually I'll steam clean it once I get home afterwards, just because they kind of, I don't know.
Gunk you.
Yeah, so the brushed look, while beautiful, kind of makes it a little more high maintenance compared to polish, like the stainless steel contoured one that I had. It was a real smooth, very low buildup overall. Buildup is something you're going to see on all drip tips, though, particularly through the center in that chamber. It happens. Now, I don't know about you, but the reason I take my drip tips off all the time, even though I've got this nice large dripping hole,
That's what she said.
is because I tend to seal it with my finger when I place it on to the device, creating a seal for the drip shield. Kind of a habit I've developed because I really dislike the juice being spat into my mouth from the atomizer when I take the draw.
Yeah, the downside to dripping with drip tips is that the PG just, it wants to touch itself, the chemicals, the molecules.
That's what she said.
The molecules want to contact and flow. That's why if you have like a drip shield, you got to kind of be careful, because if you get too much of the juice between the O-ring and the adapter or the atomizer, it'll push itself between that crevice, and it wants to create a flow constantly.
And it'll break the seal. It acts as
And
a
if you
lubricant.
have that on the inside of your drip tip, it will very easily flow back. So if you keep the inside of your drip tip dry, it's the best way to prevent juice in mouth.
Yeah. So from time to time, what I'll do to prevent that is just take a Q-tip and run it through it. For some of the smaller holes, I'll put the Q-tip, I'll cut off one of the ends, slide it through the bottom, grip it with pliers, and yank.
That's a pretty tight hole.
That's alright, I'm used to it.
Oh! Double trouble.
Out.
You bastard.
Mm-mm. And
No Twitter?